I got out of business school at Columbia, I had a hero there named Ben Graham who did wonders for me in all kinds of ways in my life. But when I got out of school, I said, could I go to work for you for nothing? I was sort of hoping that if he said yes, he would then decide to pay me. And he told me that his little firm, which only employed about 6 or 7 people, that there was so much prejudice then in Wall Street. And Wall Street was divided then between Jewish firms and Gentile firms. I mean, there were a couple like Kuhnlo maybe that were known as Jewish firms, and there would be others that were known totally as Gentile firms. And Ben said that because that prejudice existed and he'd experienced it, that he felt that to the extent that they had any employment to offer with 6 or 7 people, that they had hired up to that point only Jews. So I came out to Omaha and sold stocks and said, but I kept pestering them for a while, and a few years later they hired me. I was the first Gentile hired. You don't have much choice in terms of, if it's a choice between looking to the past and looking to the future, believe me, look to the future. I've really never been much for beating myself up over mistakes or anything of the sort. There's nothing you can do about it. The only thing you can change is the future. And I'm in a business where I'm going to make plenty of mistakes, and that just comes with the territory. And you move forward. Although when Kay Graham died, I was really hit. That was a terrible time. I think that I'm lucky enough in life. I know I'm lucky enough in life to be able to associate pretty much with whom I want to in business or socially or wherever. And I think it's sort of crazy. I think the ideal thing is to focus with people that are better than you are, because you will move in the direction of the people you associate with. And I advise students all of the time, marry up, marry somebody better. It can't be done mathematically if everybody tries to do it, but your behavior will move in the direction of the people you associate with. And so why not associate with the best? I mean, I've had a number of heroes in life, and associating with them has done wonders for me. I would not have been the same person. I would not have had the same fun in life if I'd been indiscriminate in terms of who I associate with over time. Well, you can start with my heroes. You start with my dad. You can move on to Ben Graham. You move on to my partner, Charlie Munger. Kay Graham was definitely a hero of mine. My wives have been heroes in both cases. They've all done wonders for me, and basically not expected anything in return. I mean, I have these friends that they do 10 things for me, and they're thinking about doing the 11th rather than whether they're going to get one in return for me and from me. And I've been lucky in life that I've never had a hero that's let me down. That would be a terrible experience to really have your belief in somebody that you sort of worshipped shattered, and it's never happened to me. Loyalty and my partner Charlie Munger in business, for example, we don't keep score, as to who's done the most work or anything of the sort, and in a marriage that's important. I mean, I had a fellow named Lorimer Davidson at Geico who spent 4 hours with me in a January day in 1951. He changed my life. He had no expectation he was going to get a thing from me, but I came there on a Saturday and banged on the door of what was then called Government Employees Insurance, now called Geico, and a janitor finally let me in, and he was the only one in the office, this fellow Lorimer Davidson. And he spent 4 hours with me giving me an education that literally did change my life. And you're very, very fortunate in life when you run into people like that. Ben Graham, I mean, he never asked anything of me. I mean, he just basically gave. I mean, he taught for 25 years or so at Columbia, and he was creating future competitors. I mean, I'm sure he didn't, if he took any money for it, he gave it right back to the school. But he basically was, as somebody said, he was planting trees that other people would sit under. And I've had a number of them like that. And it's been wonderful. Well, the toughest thing I have to do is if I have to fire a manager. And we have no retirement age at Berkshire. So it isn't like at 65 I can say, you're just terrific, but we've got this rule. So when I tell somebody it's time for them to leave, they know I'm making a decision about them. And these people are my friends. And I do it myself in most cases, not all cases, but most cases. Certainly if they're friends of mine, I do it. And most of them are. I do it myself. And I would give a lot of money not to have to do that sort of thing, but that is my job. And capitalism at times can be very tough, and the market system can. It's a wonderful system, and it produces way more goods and services that people want than any other system will. But with given individuals, given industries, given companies, it can be brutal. And it's up to me to have the right person running a business. And sometimes that right person runs out of gas for one reason or another. Sometimes, I've had cases of Alzheimer's and other debilitating situations, and I get on a plane and fly, and one way or another tell them that their time is up, and they usually get, toward the end they're consoling me usually, because I feel so terrible about it, but it's not pleasant, but you have to make other tough decisions. There's no question about it. It's painful, and it'll always be painful, and on the other hand, I have to do it. And somebody will have to come and tell me, but I'll understand what they're going through. I tell my kids, tell me when I'm going gaga, but all three of you better come in, because if it's just one of you, you're out of the will. Well, I think I think for most people, it's a pretty good to remember. I think it was Bertrand Russell's words, although I tried to look it up one time and I couldn't find them. But he said that success is getting what you want, and happiness is wanting what you get. And I would say the best measure of success for many people comes from a story. There was a woman here in Omaha, a Polish Jew, who went into concentration camp during the war, went into a German operation where some of her family went in with her, and she was in one line, and her sister was in another line, and they didn't all come out. She went through terrible times. And when she was maybe 80, so I probably would have been 70, she said to me one day, she said, Warren, she said, I'm very slow to make friends, because when I look at somebody, I say to myself, would they hide me? And I would say that if you get to be 65 or 70 or 80, and you've got a lot of people that would hide you, you're a success. And it's really another way of saying a lot of people who really love you. And I would say that if you get to be that age, and people are holding testimonial dinners for you, if you write them a check or naming business schools after, whatever it may be, and nobody will hide you, I think you're a failure. And I know plenty of very wealthy people that their own kids wouldn't hide them. So I think if you're looking for one measure of success, just say to yourself, how many people would hide me? And there's a lot of people that have never accumulated a lot of money or anything, but there's all kinds of people that would do anything for them. And I feel that way about some people, and have felt that way. And your success then. I get every day, and I've been doing this for decades, I get to work at what I love with people I love. If you take my assistant, Debbie Bosonic, there's nobody in the world I'd rather work with than her. And Charlie Munger, my partner, even though he's in Los Angeles, there's nobody I'd rather work with than Charlie, the managers we have. So I get to select the game, sort of how the game is going to be played, and I get to select the people who are going to be on my team. And if I'm associating with somebody that causes my stomach to churn, it's my fault, because I don't have to do it. And I've arranged things that way to quite a degree. And I'm in a field where I can do that. If I was in government, I wouldn't be able to do it, or politics, or all kinds of things. But fortunately, I consider it the sort of ideal game. competence, which has grown to some degree, but the circle of competence is the area in which certain kinds of industries, for example, I can understand the future economics of. Other kinds of industries, I can't, and I have to know where the perimeter of that circle is. Now, over the years, I may be able to enlarge the circle somewhat, but the circle never gets to be all-encompassing. And Tom Watson Sr., who built IBM, said, "I'm no genius, but I'm smart in spots, and I stay around those spots." Well, he was talking about a circle of competence, and I see my partner Charlie says, it's wonderful to have a IQ of 180 as long as you don't think it's 200. And I have seen all kinds of very, very smart people self-destruct one way or another in business, or particularly in the stock market, and they stray outside of their circle of competence just because they know they're very, very smart, but that doesn't mean they know everything. And defining what your game is, where you're going to have an edge, is enormously important. And I think both my partner Charlie and I have gotten reasonably good at that over the years. Well, it's a game. I mean, it's a competitive game. It's a big game, and I enjoyed the game a lot. The money has utility up to a point, but that point was reached probably when I was in my early 30s. Beyond that point, money had no utility, but the game was a lot of fun, and the game has continued to be fun, and it does benefit other people. I was born with wiring that in this kind of economy, at this time in our history, I'm going to make a lot of money if I work at it. It doesn't mean that I'm a superior human being or anything, but I wasn't born, so that I can win Dancing with the Stars. I mean, I can't come in second or third or fifth or 10th. I can come in last, and it was pure accident. But I was in the right place at the right time with the right wiring. If you were going to make money, and I realized that at some point, and I enjoyed it, the game, and it is a game that you don't have to, it's not like being a heavyweight boxer or or a baseball player or something. I mean, you can play that game a long, long time. Well, a typical day, I don't have any special time I get to the office, but normally I get up a little before 7. I happen to get up at 4:30 this morning, so sometimes I wake up early and I do a lot of reading then too. But I'll get up, but I'll read the papers at home almost always. So I may get to the office this morning. I happen to get here at 6:30 because I got up very early and I read all the papers and still got here early. But it doesn't really make any difference because I can think about the same things at the office. Or I have very few appointments. I'm the least scheduled guy you'll find in my position, and I like it that way. But I get here to the office and I've read some of the papers. I read more papers. I read mail. I don't do email myself, but it comes from my assistant, and that keeps it down. And I sit and read all day. We don't have any committees at Berkshire. We don't have a committee. We don't have a PowerPoint. We don't have any of that sort of thing. We don't have a public relations department. We don't have investor relations. We don't have a general counsel. We don't have a human relations department. We've got 300 and some thousand employees around the world, and we're probably third or so in market value, maybe fourth in the world. But we just don't go for anything that people do just as a matter of form. And I've got an office I like, and that goes on. And some days I go home at 5. Sometimes I go home 5:30 or 6. And I come down on Saturdays usually, but I come down mid-morning maybe, and usually go to lunch with somebody in the office, and there'll be 4 or 5 people in. And if there's a football game, I may watch it on TV at the office, and I'll watch a lot of football games or whatever it may be, sports events, maybe in the afternoon while at the same time thumbing through other things. And it's exactly the life I like. Well, the big answer is you're in the right place if you're in America, and you don't have to be particularly smart. You just have to be patient. And the biggest thing in making money is time. And I've had this long run, And so the compounding at the end turns into very big numbers. But if you would, well, the start of the 20th century, the Dow Jones average was at 66, and it ended at 11,400. And that was with the Great Depression and world wars and flu epidemics and everything else. So you've got a tailwind in this country if you just own a cross section of it. One big thing is keeping down expenses, and the other thing is not trying to pick one stock, but owning a large group of stocks and buying it over time, and then just sitting and paying no attention to people who say they know when to buy and sell stocks or buy and sell this individual stock. So it's a very simple game where the person who doesn't try to do very much usually does better than the person who spends a lot more energy on it.